Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? Diggy546, and today we got Abdul Carter, one of the better players in this draft. I'm still deciding who's going to be number one. Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Travis Hunter, who I've yet to put out a video on? Could be a guy like Mason Graham. So Abdul Carter is today. Just to give you a quick background, Abdul Carter used to play linebacker, kind of like that Micah Parsons kind of role where he played outside, kind of strong side linebacker and a little bit of inside linebacker, and pretty much was just a run and hit kind of guy. And this past year, they decided to go ahead and throw him on the edge. Now, he did play on the edge at times before, but they just kind of permanently put him out there on the edge his last year, and he exploded. He just had a great year, looked like one of the best players in college football. And here we are looking at him as a top 3 pick possibly. So to summarize what happened for him last year, 12 sacks, and he had a real strong playoffs, 4 pass deflections. And when you see this guy jump to deflect the pass, it is like almost unfair. He can get off of his feet very quickly and he can get high up in the air. So that is something that's going to stand out. He's got long arms, 2 forced fumbles this past year, and 68 total tackles. So not a ton of tackles, not, an amazing amount of tackles, but solid there. But the 12 sacks stand out, of course, and just the dominance that you see on tape stand out. He comes in at 6'3", 251. I saw some other things that said he was 259, so maybe he's putting on some weight. Now, sadly, we didn't get to see him yesterday at the Combine. He had, I think, an ankle issue. Didn't really do anything at the Combine. Maybe he came and did some interviews, but other than that, he didn't run. He didn't do any drills. He didn't lift any weight. I don't even think he got measurements because we don't have an arm length measurement for him right now. So that's kind of disappointing because I wanted to see the arm length. But I think he'll be just fine in the NFL once that ankle heals up. Now, right now, they're deciding if it's an injury that he has to have surgery on or if it's an injury that can heal by itself. And of course, him and his agent are hoping that it heals by itself, because if he ends up being out for, the first 6 weeks of the season or something like that, that may tank his draft stock. But for me, it wouldn't. All right, so everybody knows by now that I'm doing player grades. Now, I didn't give him a physical score because we don't have the arm length. He has not gotten that measurement. So that is such an important metric for me when evaluating the physicality of these players that I just can't include it. I'm not going to give him a score just based on height and weight, because arm length to me matters more than all of those things for edge players. So no physical score, but we do have first step. So I gave him a first step grade of 9. And I think his first step is incredible. I think he can get off of the line before everybody else consistently. And a lot of times you'll see him at the beginning of plays, he'll already be in motion while everybody else on the line of scrimmage is just standing still. So because of that, I gave him a 9 out of first step. And to me, that is a very important tool for a lot of these players. As far as hands, now I gave him a 6 for his hand usage. I do think he has a nice rip move. He can kind of get past guys that way. I think his hand placement is really good at times, getting his hands inside, pushing guys back for pass rush moves. But I do want to see him use his hands to free himself up a little bit more. And I think that's something in his game that he can kind of get stalled out, because he just isn't able to use those hands, isn't able to transition into the new moves. So because of that, I gave him a 6. Play strength, I gave him a 7. Now, he is, 250 something. He's going to probably end up playing on maybe like 261 this year. Play strength is there. It's not dominant. So, I gave him a 7, not an 8 or 9. But it's there. If he gets his hands on you the right way, you're going backwards. I don't see play strength as being something that he's going to have to really worry about in the NFL from what I've seen. I've seen some concern, but I just don't think that's going to be a problem. Run defense, I gave him an 8.5. And the reason I did that is because this guy is an absolute weapon. Whatever he loses by being, not a guy who's 275 and can anchor in like a freak like Myles Garrett, the fact that he can move the way he does at his size is ridiculous. But not everybody's Myles Garrett. But he's not a guy that is going to just hold up there and just be a stalwart on that edge like that. He can do some of that, but you all get what I'm saying. He's not a power run defender. But he can shed blocks, get into the backfield, cause plays to be, negative plays. if you try to get the edge on him, he can be a guy that just runs down the running back to the outside because he's just so quick and so fast. So he's a guy that I think is a weapon in run defense. And because of that, I gave him an 8.5. Didn't want to go to 9 because I feel like 9 would just make him an absolutely just elite run defender in all aspects. But I do think he's a very good run defender who can make he can make all types of huge plays in that run game. Pressure, I gave him a 9.5. Now, pressure is just how much pressure you get, just plain and simple. How much pressure you're getting, how much you're affecting the game. And I can't say that I've seen any of his games where I've just looked at it and just said, I can't find this guy. You see him in the backfield pretty often. You see him applying pressure to these offensive linemen, making the quarterback move around, making him uncomfortable, making him, do things that he doesn't want to do on a regular basis. And because of that, I gave him a 9.5. I think a 10 would be just a generational guy. And I don't think he's that, but I do think he gets a ton of pressure, and I think he'll continue to do that. Discipline. Now, this is maybe a controversial thing that I put in there. Discipline is what I give these guys. Are you, cutting inside? Are you abandoning your gaps? Are you doing crazy things like that? And for Abdul Carter, I can't say that I've seen him have any issues, glaring issues, like any consistent problems with playing the right assignment, with squeezing when he has to, with playing the right gap. I haven't really seen that as a huge problem, which is funny for a guy that's as athletic as him. You usually see those guys get out of gaps, but he hasn't. So I gave him an 8 as far as discipline. And of course, all of these ratings have different weights, which I can go into at a different time if you all want to learn about that. But all of that added together, he is coming in around an 8.43 score for this year. And so far, I mean, he's my edge one. So far, he's my edge one. I haven't seen anybody better, and you'll eventually see videos of those other players. But for now, he is edge one. All right, so let's just jump straight into what I was talking about. Is the first step off of the line of scrimmage, how quickly he can get off the ball. And Abdul Carter does this at a high level. Just take a look at this first play. Just take a look at how quickly. Again, look at where he is on the field and look at the rest of the defensive line. He is, a yard or two in front of everybody else on the line. Let's go back to when everybody is coming out of their stance. He's already gone at that point. And that's what gives him this advantage to even pressure the quarterback here. And it's crazy stuff. This forces this. Take a look at the left side of your screen. Watch how this affects Will Howard. Right off the bat, he's under pressure. Now, I'll point him out just so you all know what to look for, but you really don't have to point this guy out. Just take a look again. I'm going to let this play. And some people are thinking this is a false start. This is an offsides. It's not an offsides. Take a look at it. Like, legitimately, as soon as the ball is snapped, he's across the line of scrimmage. He's in the backfield. Now, Giants fans, we had a guy in Kayvon Thibodeau who did this in college. Hopefully Abdul Carter doesn't do what Kayvon Thibodeau does and try to become only a power rusher in the NFL. But just his raw athleticism and his ability to just look at the ball and know exactly when to jump off is just nuts, man. Like, it's like he's guessing it right. All right, so let's take another look here. Abdul Carter is on the right side of your screen. He's going to get off the ball fast again. Take a look right out of this stance. Long arm. And now we can start looking at some of the hand usage. Again, he does use his hands. It's not a glaring weakness, but I do think he can improve a lot. Is the arm length an issue? We will never know until we see it in the NFL. But he's got to get to that guy first. This tackle has got some nice long arms, and he's got to get to him first. Either way, is able to kind of counteract that and get under that arm. And this is something that shows that he knows what he's doing. Again, he doesn't have very many moves, but the move that he does show here is a very intelligent move to just say, if his arm is out here, I just got to get under that, attack that, and I can go get the quarterback. Now, of course, he doesn't get him, but takes the corner pretty nice. All right, so this is some footage in 2023 of him playing some linebacker. This is just an example of how he can run somebody down here. Just take a look. He's just running, I mean, he can just run and chase. Take a look from this angle. Number 11 right in the middle of your screen. Just sees the quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. And again, if McCarthy didn't have that guy running him down that was closer, I mean, there's nothing you can do there with 11 hunting you down. All right, and as we start to analyze him more a little bit as a pass rusher, you're just going to just see a lot of recurring themes. He's kind of out-athleting people. And this isn't one of those things where I don't think that'll work in the NFL. He's not just an athlete with nothing else. He's an athlete that knows what he's doing, who still needs some refinement because he is converting from linebacker. But he's a guy that, when he puts it all together, could be an amazing Pro Bowl type, all-pro type edge rusher. So take a look at 11 here on the left side of your screen. He's just going to get low. And a lot of edge players just don't have this tool. A lot of people leave this. They kind of ignore this. But look at the way he just drops his hips and can just turn this corner right here. A lot of guys cannot do that. They physically can't do it. Their bodies don't move this way. And like, there's nothing that Riley Leonard can do. You get a bad snap there, and the moment you catch the ball, you got a guy tackling you. All right, so this next play, we got one of my favorite moves that these pass rushers hit this time. He's gonna act like he's just regularly rushing, like you don't know if he'll go bull, you don't know if he'll try to take the edge, and he just hits a nice little Euro step, bam, bam, and just gets to the edge there and is able to go get a hit in the quarterback. Nice little Euro step, got his face mask held and everything. Didn't matter. All right, so we'll start this next play again with him having a head start above everybody else on his team. He's in front of all of them. And it's 3rd and 8. And this is the absolute last place you want to be as an offensive tackle, trying to block Abdul Carter. Take a look at this tackle here. He hasn't even registered. He's looking here. He hasn't even registered that Abdul Carter is almost about to pass him here. And just take a look at just him turn the corner. Actually, a nice recovery from that tackle. And he just goes and gets the quarterback, though. It's too late. Take a look here, coming off the left side. Just violent. Take a look at the hands. I'd love to see him just start long arming people, especially when these tackles are going to start short arming, stuff like that. Stick that arm right, make the arm stiff. Put the arm right in between that 7 and 4 in the front of his jersey and just turn the corner there. That way he doesn't even touch you there. But still a good job to rip pass right there, kind of get over his helmet and go and get the quarterback. And we talk a lot about pass rush moves and hand usage and technique and all that stuff. All that stuff is great. But at the end of the day, if you're a dominant pass rusher, you're somebody who can just win. Like, it's not much thinking about it. You can just win. You got the fastball that nobody can hit. And this is what started to happen in this Ohio State game. Take a look at it. He's unblockable here. He's just unblockable. Off the line. I mean, this is very difficult for a quarterback to maneuver in this type of a situation. Take a look at it. He's going to snap the ball, take one step, and he's under pressure. Now, when you're a guy that wins on the outside a bunch, people will start to adjust to that. And this is what happens right here. He just makes him run a mile to get to the quarterback there. Like, you're going to have to do a lot of running. And just take a look. He still gets pressure. He still gets pressure. You make him run all that time, but he's still able to bend the corner so well that he's not as affected by it. And again, like I said, when you're coming from one direction, people are going to start to adjust. And that's exactly what Notre Dame did after a while, him just kind of dominating. Just take a look as he tries to get the outside and get that corner again. Eventually, they're just going to start running you out of there. Eventually, they're just going to start sealing that edge off. And what I want to start to see him doing is start spinning back inside. Now, he's got a little traffic here, but even if it's just ripping across the face and just taking that inside lane back, I know it's Riley Leonard. You don't want this guy to jump out the window, but I think he's athletic enough that he can make these kind of moves, especially when he's got this much depth. I don't think that it's that much of an issue. You got your linebacker right here who can help. I want to see him start working back inside because he can take himself out of games when a guy is oversetting to the outside. All right, so this play, there's nothing much to it. You got 11 right here. And just watch how much space and air that he covers when he goes to swat this ball. I mean, just take a look at just how much, look at how high he gets off the ground. Like, where do you, at this point, if this guy is if he's jumping this high, a quarterback that's 6'3", 6'2", if he releases this ball, this could get intercepted, because it almost got intercepted there from Riley Leonard. And again, we're going to look at this again. Notre Dame started making adjustments, just walled this line off, and it kind of started to neutralize Abdul Carter. Just take a look here. He's on the outside. He's going to end up burying himself. Lineman knows what he's doing. So again, you know, what he wants to start doing, I understand you got a guy there. You can't really spin back because, again, you have somebody there. Maybe this is just a coaching thing because you always have somebody rushing right inside of Abdul Carter's inside lane. I don't know. But he kind of started to get neutralized here. He's really high right here. So, you know, he's obviously expecting to just get this corner, and he's not allowed to do it. All right, so take a look at 11 right here. This is what I like to see in every one of these edge linebackers, every defensive player, to be honest with you. They got to be able to run down the football. They got to be able to run down whoever has the football, and they have to be able to do it in a hurry. So take a look at 11. I mean, shades of Micah Parsons. Shades of Micah Parsons. He's running. I mean, just chasing the guy down. And I mean, it's just beautiful to see that when you got an edge player that'll come from the other side of the field, run that play down, and take that tackle for a loss. Here's another example. He's just always just heads up, always finds his way to the football. They got a bad snap here. He's just going to run it down. Just going to run it down there. 11 right there, right on the spot. And again, he's just going to be a guy that makes all of those plays. If you want to take a look at him from the beginning, 11 right here. He's just that guy that's just always there. And you just want guys running after the football, especially your best players. All right, so next play, Abdul Carter coming off of this left side. Now, a ton of people are just going to collapse down here, try to get into the backfield, and you're going to have this running back that's going to take this handoff. I'm assuming the way that this is being blocked, you got a puller there. He's pulling over to pick up whoever is free here. This is probably supposed to go up the A-gap anyway. But if he collapses down like this, like they want him to, this running back can just take this to the outside. I'm one-on-one with the corner. Let's see what happens. Instead, Abdul Carter does a great job of keeping contained and also getting his hands in on the play. I call this crunching the run. I mean, I don't know what anybody else says, but I like to call it crunching the run. Where you just crunch whoever the offensive lineman is down to wherever that running back is and just take that play out. All right, so this next play, he's going to do a great job taking on a pulling guard, and he's going to shut down this run. Now, really good job holding up for a guy that people say is undersized. Really nice play there. Attacked, got in there, wrapped up the play. Now, when I say the guy is super athletic, I mean he's super athletic. Try running option plays and little trick plays with the quarterback and running back in the backfield if you want, because he can literally cover both guys. You got this speed option here. He can cover both of these guys here, and he does it perfectly. Like, if he tosses this here, he's going to run this running back out. He's going to run this running back down to the outside. And, of course, if the quarterback takes it upfield, he's got him. All right, so for this next play, this is my biggest problem with Abdul Carter in the run game. Now, I do not like him in the run game at middle linebacker. I don't think it's good for him. I don't think that he should be doing anything but coming from the line of scrimmage and attacking. Because when he's at linebacker and he has to run forward, then run sideways, and then change, he's not that guy. He's not a linebacker. He is a linebacker, and I think he could be an NFL linebacker on the right team, you know, as a stand-up linebacker, as a guy that, you know, plays coverage and all that. He could definitely do that because he's very athletic. But as far as a change of direction at that linebacker position, as that stand-up inside kind of linebacker, it's just not there. Take a look here. He's just not going to be able to get outside, isn't able to take a good angle, and then, you know, it just kind of gets exposed right there. So I don't want to see him at that position. I'd much rather him be the edge player here, because I think if he's the edge player here, he's collapsing this tight end down and he's spinning off and making this tackle, or just getting him off of him and make that tackle. But him at stand-up linebacker, it's not really that good here. All right, so for this next play, this is what happens when you try to block Abdul Carter with the tight ends. Like I said, he would have got off of that tight end's block, because watch him get off of 2 tight ends blocks here. So 11 here on the edge. We're going to run this counter here, and he's just going to shed both blocks and go make that tackle. All right, so again, he is not Myles Garrett. He's not 270-something pounds. And this is something you'll see occasionally. Him in the run game on the left side of your screen. In this run play, you don't really want to be taking steps this way. You don't want to be taking steps that way because you do want to keep contained here. You do want to be outside. You don't want this guy to just be able to run outside. You know, like you play for the Giants and you're just giving up touchdowns to the outside or something. But you also want to make sure that you're establishing that this line is not going to move. This line should not be moving. And this tackle just kind of just manhandles him, kind of throws him out to the side. And because he does that little move right there, he's not able to get a hand on this running back. If he's able to kind of hold firm right here and just kind of just tussle with this tackle for long enough for the running back to get in that area, that play is getting shut down. All right, so this next play, this is a game-changing play in a big game in the playoffs. And you're basically going to get this from Abdul Carter. Just basically straight up field and just turn the corner on a dime. Because he's able to do that, because he's able to attack 59 right there, and he's not what you would expect a human being to do, which is running this way to get him or even running this way. He just takes it and just basically goes flat to the quarterback. And because he does that, you get an interception. Because he has to step up and he's not comfortable, you get just a lame duck throw in the middle of the field that turns into an interception. All right, so next play, he's playing a little bit of linebacker here. And again, you're just going to just see him just have a nose for the football, seeing what's going on, picks the right gap, and gets his helmet right on the football. And again, these are the type of game-changing plays I can see him making on Sunday, is getting his head on the football, getting the ball dislodged, because that's really what you need from any front seven guy, from any defender, is the ability to take the ball away. All right, Abdul Carter, really, really nice prospect. I think he is, if I had to say from 100% or from an A+, I would say he's an A- player. So really, really good player who deserves to go in the top 5 of almost every draft, but not a generational pass rusher. That's really where I put him. I do think he has a chance. You know, anybody has a chance. Once you get to the league, he could be that guy that has the Hall of Fame career. But I'm not going to say like, oh, I'm banking on it. But again, a guy I do expect to be a Pro Bowler. A guy I do expect to be a dominant player in the NFL. And we'll see how it goes. Now, of course, the Giants are in the top 3. If they don't go after a quarterback, if they sign this old geezer, Aaron Rodgers, to a deal and just decide to ignore everything, I'm sure they'll ignore defense because Aaron Rodgers wants this and Aaron Rodgers wants that. But if they have any semblance of a brain and they don't want to take a quarterback, I really think that the best option is taking Abdul Carter, because you can never have enough edge rushers. It's the most important position on the field, in my opinion, besides quarterback and wide receiver. I really think that once you have the quarterback and you have one wide receiver, you just got to load up on the defensive line. Load up on the defensive line. And if this guy is there and you think he can be a game-changing edge rusher, I think, again, they should draft this guy, because I think that edge rusher is probably the most important position in football besides a quarterback. So if they have a shot too and they think that this guy is a dominant edge player or a dominant edge player waiting to happen, you cannot pass on him. I don't care if you have Kayvon Thibodeau, who's probably not going to be here in a year and a half, and you're going to be sitting there with Brian Burns and nobody else. Take the best player on the board, and take the best player on the board at a premium position if you don't go quarterback. So that's my take on the Giants going after him. A couple other teams, I don't have any problem with any team in the top 5 going after this player, because he's just that good of a player. Edge number 1 in this draft. Stay tuned for more.